Alright. More than Dragalia Lost. Yuji Okada, director of Dragalia Lost. Thank you so much for playing Dragalia Lost. Thanks for all your support. The game has reached its 1.5 year anniversary. There are a lot of events to celebrate the occasion, so be sure to check them out. I talked a little bit about what's coming during the recent Dragalia Digest, but I'd like to unpack the information a little bit more in this notification, okay? Later this month. Enjoying the Scars Syndicate Raid event? Haven't done it yet. The song that plays in the event is a new against the new raid boss. Aspido Cello. Okay, worry about that later. Is Get Up by Mad Kid. It also plays when things get heated during the story, so I hope you give it a listen. So, cool thing about Mad Kid that I realized is they did both. If you ever watched Shield Hero, both the intros to Shield Hero are by this band. So there's a little tiny tidbit about them. Aldred and Belina. These two Avengers can't shapeshift, but they can enter a special state called Dragon Drive instead. While in Dragon Drive, certain parameters and skills will be boosted. Also, unlike shapeshifting, you can end Dragon Drive whenever you want, whenever you like, without using up the special gauge entirely. I think you'll enjoy how the gameplay feels a little different without shapeshifting. So my curious is like, can these characters use like shapeshift prints? And do they just get the bonus like Dragon Claws? Do Dragon Claws work on them? I guess I have to get him and test that myself. But I'll do this later. Yeah, so Grace just came out, because I'm doing this a little late. And she looks silly, but she looks silly and is also cool that it's an offensive staff unit that does not heal others. She heals herself. Unique adventure in that she'll be a healer who lacks recovery skills. She's extremely powerful when partnered with adventures like Natalie. These parameters are increased when their HP is low. Powerful partners adventures like Natalie. Okay, but how does... I looked at her kit. How does she help Natalie? There's something I don't understand about that. We revive the Hunt for Harmony facility event in mid-April. That's the Easter event. We'll also revive the Fire Emblem Lost Heroes event starting April 19th. That's coming up in a few weeks. Summon Showcase featuring Marth, Fjorm, and Veronica will be available at the time of the revival, of course. Chimera boss enemy will of a new element and a new Chimera weapons will be added during the Fire Emblem Lost Heroes raid event. Of a new element. So we have light, fire, dark. Actually, do we have a dark Chimera? I think we do. I feel like we already have... Huh. Oh, Chimera. I'm thinking Manticore. Okay, so that's big. So whatever Chimera we get basically hints at the next Vegeta we're gonna get. So that's important to keep in mind. And yeah, Chimera tech weapons. So this will hint at the next Vegeta. And then a brand new Final Hero started at the end of April. As announced during the Dragalia Digest, we'll be reviving Final Emblem Lost Heroes starting April 19th. Along with the event revival, we'll also be unlocking the Maris power for Alphonse, Marth, Fjorm, and Veronica. This looks crazy. The event has been changed slightly for the revival, so you'll have a chance to view the full story before the start of the new event. The defensive battles have also been adjusted to be playable in solo play. Thank you. What's more, the new Fire Emblem Heroes event will feature new adventurers, story, and gameplay elements. It also adds Serena as a new member to your roster. Well, by playing. This event is scheduled for the start at the end of April, so keep an eye out for it. So here's the thing. Serena might actually have a cool new kit that the other Fire Emblem Heroes, they did, but they didn't. They still use very much Dragalia-esque things. So I think Serena, actually no, they added new stuff because skill shifts, was that in before? I actually did. Did we have any skill shift before Marth? Was Galacleo in before Marth? I don't remember. Alphonse didn't really have anything new. Veronica had... No, I think Veronica and Fjorm were the first counters put into the game. So that was new. I wanted to be Anna, but we got Serena. Okay, so Chain Combos. We had a new feature called Chain Combo abilities in a recent update. The reason we introduced this feature is because we wanted to increase the amount of strategy that goes into your team building. The number of adventures that can be obtained by playing through the main campaign, events, and Summon Showcase has grown through the rest of the game. We want to make it more worthwhile to upgrade and use all those adventures. It was like Chain Co abilities was a very good way to do this. Oh yeah, Halloween Elliot skill shift. Okay, so yeah, I forgot. I never got her, so yeah, I forgot. So yeah, basically counter is what my only characters added to the game. Chain kill abilities are upgraded along with co abilities. Yeah, I was like, why did I say co abilities twice? So while upgrading adventures may be difficult, it used to be, these parameters boost adventures plenty, even at level 1. Help you try lots of different combinations. Because of the introduction of chain combos, we'd also like to increase the number of teams you can build in a future update. Yes! Please wait a while I work on this. Yes. Because like, I need a Cleo team. I need an Alex team. Because first I had teams for elements. Now I need teams for what abilities I want on characters. So yes, give us more team slots. Future updates. That's a little bit of spoiler down there. Future updates. We're planning on adding new features that allows adventurers to use the skills of other adventurers. Okay, they talked about this. As long as the adventurer meets certain conditions. This will make it possible to combine skills in brand new ways. So we expect that it will create quite a bit of variance in quest strategy and how adventures are used. We'll be sure to share more information about the feature in future update notifications. Here's the thing that Chronica brought up to me, my friend, that I didn't think about, is that if you can do this and take a healing skill, you could negate the need for healers. Because you could just run 4 damage dealers and every single one of them has a healing skill. So that's like, I mean, you still need to build the healer, but maybe you don't run them. So that's like something that could be pretty interesting from that. Also preparing new events in addition to raid events and facility events. In the first event format, you'll have to take on large amounts of enemies. The other format will center on defensive battles, like in the Fire Emblem Lost Heroes event. Okay, good. They did say it's like that, because I'm like, we already had defensive battles. In this event, you'll be able to play battles with vast maps, reinforcements, and ever-changing battle situations. Hold one of the 2 types each month, and each will have a new story. Okay, so that's not just to be facility, raid, facility, raid. It's good to actually mix it up. So I'm excited for that. So probably every other month we'll get a facility and like, okay, so a facility, and I'll just call it Horde for now. So facility and Horde event, and the next one maybe we'll get a raid and a defense event, and like keep mixing it up that way. So that's good. Because yeah, I feel like I don't get these complaints, because when something pops up, like when a facility event pops up, a raid event pops up, and I don't feel like doing it, I'll just read it off stream, and then I'll just farm it off stream. So whatever. I think the only event so far I hadn't read was the cooking one. I just skipped it entirely. Okay, the Ejido Uprising. We're planning on adding a new boss to Ejido Uprising at the end of April. One of the 2 bosses shown during the Dragalia Digest will make their debut. One of the 2, so they hinted at it. Okay, so they're not going to tell us. So the Chimera will tell us who. Because this is obviously the water one. This is obviously the fire one. I kind of want the fire one, because that means or some 70 mana circle. Give it. Crafting. We plan on improving the game's screens and functionality on weapon crafting feature to make them more intuitive. Currently, there are a lot of weapons with different special characteristics, so it's easy to be confused about which ones you should craft. We want to make it easier to tell what effects each weapon has and which weapon you should make in your current situation. But don't worry, if the improvements we make end up meaning that you spent extra materials or rupees when crafting weapons in the point, we'll compensate those amounts. Bro, I can't hold any more rupees. I have like 70 million. Let me double check. Yeah, I have 74 million. I can't hold any of those. Now, they should do this because the core weapons, when they're not endgame weapons anymore, have no need to be as expensive as they currently are. They can definitely make them cheaper. But if you made a bunch of those, I can't hold any more rupees. Okay. Here we go. Game difficulty. So this is interesting because before I read this, complaints I've heard is that a lot of people say there's nothing to do because the game is a lot of just like, it's raid bosses. That's kind of how the game runs. But because the Master Dragons were released kind of at the same time, some of them were like, I think Brunhilde is my favorite. I think Brunhilde was the best balance because it could be done with everyone not having a High Dragon tier 2. And it just tasks you to learn new things on top of an already well-designed fight, I think. So I thought Brunhilde was the best. And it was the first one. Midgar was right after that. Midgar was a travesty because that thing was balanced around everyone having a tier 2 weapon. So if you, for some reason, couldn't kill Brunhilde, which let's get the facts straight. First weeks of all those dragons, the kill rates were probably, I'd give it 5% of the player base beat the Master High Dragons. I think that's generous, saying 5%. It was low. So if you were not within that 5% or lower from Brunhilde when it first came out, that beat Master High Dragons, you could not do Master Midgar. You needed, not only did you need High Dragon tier 2, you needed an above one to beat Midgar. Like, they super overtuned that fight. So that fight was a pain. Next was Jupiter. Oh my god. Master Jupiter was the worst thing I have ever seen. Now, the fight was cool. Jupiter does a lot of cool things. It's a lot of learning new stuff. There's a lot of coordination. But that fight, Jupiter is already a fight that's like everyone in your party needs to be on it, because they can easily, you as a single individual can kill your whole party in Jupiter. That's how the fight works. If you get hit 3 times and build 3 of the stacks, you just kill everyone. Master Jupiter said, you know what? What if we kept that mechanic and threw a bunch of other things at you that will just one-shot you? And on top of that, you need to be, like, it was unkillable. It was tuned, again, for High Dragon tier 2s when Master Zodiark was the last one that came out, so it made no sense. So people were in there with mob High Dragon weapons trying to kill this thing, and it is super, like, super precise, and to the point where this team that ended up beating it was basically, I call it cheese team, but it was just a strat. It's cheesy because you're running 3 Cleos and Audric. Now, that doesn't sound too weird, except for the fact that Audric is running like a bear or Master High Midgard Stormer. So Audric is literally there just to bait it and then stun it. And you're cheesing it otherwise. You run Dragon Prep so you don't take the first blast, so then you try to, like, and you had, like, this team was just barely killing it, and it was a cheese team. And that was the strat to kill that thing. That fight was a travesty. So, and then you notice the first 2 Agitos they released were Fire Agito, or sorry, Wind Agito that gave fire weapons, because you need to do something about Master Midgar, and a Light Agito that gave dark weapons, because again, you need to do something about Master Jupiter. So they released Agito fights, which are then easy to beat, because they are very easy. Cayenne is so easy, you can auto him. Like, he's new content that just came out, and you can auto him with a full team and farm standard without anyone else. And then Expert, as long as you have damage, Expert Cayenne is easy. Expert Volk was a little harder because there was still you still had to work together a bit. There was still very hard kill triggers. There was still the whole, like, the shadow phase where you had to dodge stuff. Stacking and taking the different debuffs and stuff like that. Like, Volk still had more involved. Cayenne is no. You burst him down, you push past the first phase, and then you just fight him, and he does very obvious things. There really is not kill triggers, you just needed someone who dispels. That's how they made it so you can't bring all Cleos. And then besides that, he's not really hard. But I am saying all this, I'm going to read this in a second, but I'm saying all this because, I have to scroll up too, so you can't read part of it. I'm saying all this because, like, to me, that's not too much of a problem, because Dragalia to me is a game I love, but it's a game that I'll play it and I'll put it down. I don't have to play it every day. I can play it, do my dailies, do what I need to do, put the game down, do something else. I like that fact about the game. But if you're someone who really wants to invest in the game, Dragalia is not the game you can invest in. So I can compare it to Grand Blue. Grand Blue is a game that has been around for 6 years, yes. But there's just a lot of stuff to do in that game. And when they release endgame content, that shit is hard as fuck. It is so hard. It's ridiculous. Which Dragalia did that with the Master Dragons, and then also the fact that Master Dragons and Time Trials came at the same time. And notice they never ran Time Trials again. I hope they never do. Like, that could have been cool, but it was bad. It was real bad. Anywho, game difficulty. Game had reached 105-year anniversary. I'd like to talk a bit about the direction of the game going forward. Dragalia Lost is an action RPG. Players are required to combine the RPG elements of building up adventures with action elements of moving around during battle to overcome powerful foes. Right now, we feel there's a significant gap between players in regards to the action elements of the game. Yes, so let's talk about a couple things real fast off of that alone. So stuff that a new player to Dragalia won't realize. You should not do the full auto string on most characters. It is slower, you won't get your skills up faster. Take Sword for instance, you do 1, 2, 3, charge 4 strike. So on 3, you click and hold, so after 3 you're charging 4 strike, release, keep going. It's like, stuff like that, the game doesn't tell you. You have to know that. And if you're playing since the start, you probably know that, 'cause either you've seen people do it or stuff like that. Like, when I was playing Alex sometimes, if I fall into autopilot territory, I start 4 striking, when that character doesn't need to. Because, like, I played so many swords, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 strike. It's just a habit. So it's just like, Something like that isn't explained. Now, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's cool that there's extra depth into the game. I remember going in and looking at the values of skill points you got for hitting someone and calculating, thinking out to myself, okay, when I'm using sword, it's probably only attack once or twice and then force strike because it's more efficient for building skills than doing the full combo. That stuff's cool, but when you're gonna have stuff that's like you are barely killing something, although most things have 10-minute timer now. Although what they do is they have 10 minutes, but they have basically a phase where if you're still alive, they're gonna kill you. They're just gonna keep looping something until you die. But the game's gonna be like that. They gotta do stuff. It's also the fact that a lot of the stuff is a one-shot kill. So if you're not good at controlling characters in Dragalia, you could have a lot of issues because like you're playing and then you die, and that's kind of it. So yeah, so that's very smart stuff from what I'm seeing so far for what they're talking about. So let's see what they do. We want to make it so that a wide variety of people can play the game. From those who like upgrading adventures and straightforward gameplay, but are not as interested in the action as those who prefer action and working out ways to take on boss enemies, which is what this game is. Dragalia is mostly this. Of the two, we are currently prioritizing adding and adjusting content to help players who are not as interested in interested in action enjoy the game. Okay, so that's what has been going on with the Agito fight so far, because like I said, Cayenne and Volk. Volk's harder than Cayenne, but both of them aren't nearly as hard as the High Dragons. High Dragons are hard as shit compared to these two for the first time you go into them. In terms of what you gotta learn, how the fight works, like you can go into Expert Volk and probably not fully understand the fight as long as you're not playing like a healer. Or if you're playing a melee in that fight, you can figure it out. It's not that hard to figure it out. Cayenne, you don't need to know shit. As long as you're not the person dispelling, you don't need to know anything for that fight. Just don't stand in purple. It's pretty straightforward. Besides the stack. That's red though. But yeah. I think the barrier to entry for Gaia Lost is a little high for a smartphone game. That's fair enough. I can agree with that. And that's making matchmaking during co-op difficult because causing some players to quit playing the game entirely. Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. Some people have quit because the game is too hard. Like Kim, for instance, wanted to play more Dragalia, but she didn't have anyone to play with. She's getting into it again now because I'm like, hey, just ask me. You know, I'll help get you through stuff and get you caught up. Hopefully she's still working on that. But when I introduced her to like Grand Blue, she's playing the shit out of Grand Blue. Also because she likes Grand Blue because she's been playing Versus. But like she's playing a lot of Grand Blue because Grand Blue is a lot more, you can just do stuff on your own. Even when you play with other people, you don't see them. They don't directly impact what you do to like end game. So she's way more into that because it's way easier to get into Grand Blue and do stuff without needing people. Where in Dragalia, especially starting out, you need people for most content. So like this is a very good point. So with the addition of chain code abilities and the new skill feature, it'll be possible to upgrade teams further than even before, making it possible for players who are less interested in action elements of the game to potentially clear high difficulty quests. Okay, that's fair enough. It's fair enough because it's more power to everyone. So this is fair enough. This is the reason why we've kept the difficulty of the Agito Uprising down in terms of action elements for standard expert difficulties, and there it is. In the This Month in Dragalia Lost notification that was released back in March this year, I said the Agito Uprising is easier to tackle than Advanced Dragon Trials because I think that clearing the Agito Uprising on standard difficulty and crafting a 6-star weapon before challenging Advanced Dragon Trials is one possible option, which is a good option to have. But it seems my lack of explanation generated some confusion, so I apologize for that. In regards to Agito Uprising, we're planning to add difficulty levels in the future. When we do, we will make it possible to craft tier 2 6-star weapons, which is going to be ridiculous probably. Additionally, in the future, we are hoping to add quests that are a little more difficult for those who are seeking a challenge, but we won't be able to collect any rewards or materials for increasing your might from them. Okay, that's fair. I think that's fair. Because, like, another problem Grand Blue has, okay, and something they come out, like, the director had to come out and say, is that the gap between top-level players, the gap between players at the top and everyone else is just widening at a ridiculous degree in Grand Blue because they put in new content that gives stronger weapons because they have to give stronger weapons to people who have been playing for years. But they have to make it hard enough that only those players can really kill it. So those players get even stronger. And then the gap between them and everybody else just gets ridiculous. And over like 6 years, it kind of bloats out. It's weird because I talked to some people and like, oh, I turned on my PS4. I talked to some people, right? And they've been playing for a while and they're at the end in that game. They're like, well, I like that it's hard, but it's like, I don't know. I can't help but think of things from a new player experience when I look at it. It's not good if there's such a huge gap that I can never catch up. Now, it probably doesn't matter. In Dragalia, it matters less because if someone is really strong, I can just carry someone who's weak, right? In Granblue, it's an issue because you are actively competing for loot. Because you have to, because remember, Dragalia, you used to have host chests when you hosted raids. There used to be like red bags that dropped. They got rid of those, thank goodness. Well, Granblue still has those. So Granblue has a host chest. So if you host it, you guaranteed a red chest. It has an MVP chest. So if you do the most damage, I repeat, if you do the most damage, you are guaranteed to get a chest that is equivalent to a host chest, meaning you have a higher chance of getting weapon drops, gold bars, summon drops, just stuff you need in the game if you do the most damage. And then there is blue chests, where you need to hit a certain HP threshold damage on a given boss to get a chest. Now, why is this an issue? Host chests, okay, you hosted it, you put your mats, other people didn't, you should get some, that's fine. MVP chests. If someone is in that raid who has played the game longer than you and is just stronger than you, maybe they don't even need that raid for actual weapons anymore. Okay, PS4, please turn off. Maybe they don't need that raid for actual weapons anymore, right? Why did you just eject? Put this back in. Turn off. All right. Maybe they don't need that raid for weapons or whatever from anymore, but they are stronger than you. So like they get the advantage of getting a higher chance at getting more loot. It's funny because Granblue Versus in the PS4 where I'm talking about Granblue. They have a higher chance of getting more loot than you do. So that's kind of an issue because I don't like, my thing is I don't like it because it encourages, in Granblue what happens is you attack the boss, when they queues up your attack, your turn is done. You can click refresh and get back and doing the next turn and skip all the animations. So if you just refresh, you can get ahead of other people. Also the fact that the Granblue is based on Japanese servers. So when you're over here racing against Japanese players, sometimes you will never beat them because literally they will load in faster. It will load their stuff faster. They will do more. They have a higher tick than you do, or ping is lower than yours is. So they will always get more abilities in before you will. And like, that kind of sucks. So I'm glad Dragalia did not go that route. And like I went on a little tirade, but my thing is like, if you keep putting in stuff like, let's say the new Agitos come out, right? Or let's say they invent, I don't know, let's just use Mars since just fought him in the story. Let's say they put Mars into the game, and Mars is harder than Master Brunhilde. And you need a full team of High Dragon weapons mobbed to even think about fighting it. And then even then, you're going to run up against a time limit. But Mars drops High Dragon 6-star weapons that are stronger than the Agito weapons. So every player that kills Mars is now ridiculously stronger than everyone else. Or let's think of it this way. The time attack system, which is gone for hopefully forever. For doing time attack, you got a Sunstone, a gold bar. I'm thinking it's too much Granblue. A Sunstone, a Damascus bar, Merits, and Elfwater. And you got these rewards for all 5 dragons. So if you were good enough to get one in every single dragon, you got so much upgrading materials over everybody else that you're just way ahead of all of them now. So like, I think it's fine to do it this way. Like Mercurial Gauntlet is kind of that flexing kind of thing where it's like, oh yeah, I'm strong enough to kill this. But even for Mercurial Gauntlet, you get rupees every month. But it's monthly. It's a monthly thing, so it's not too ridiculous. It'll add up over time, but like, it's not ridiculous. And you get to try out new teams and build teams and stuff. I thought that was really good concept put into the game. So I think the idea of challenge stuff, but you won't get stuff to boost might, I think that's fine. Give me like a weapon skin. I think that would be sick. Give me a weapon skin. Give me a title is kind of lame, honestly. I take it. Something to put in my Halidom says, hey, I did this. But give me weapon skins. 100% give me weapon skins from this. And I think that's sick. That's something to show off. It's like, hey, I did this. And like, it could be really cool. Okay, I apologize to users who are waiting for quests of a more challenging difficulty level felt that these quests were lacking. I can tell you I've heard that from a decent chunk of people. Hope you're looking forward to these future quests in addition to the Geodo Uprising. Due to development circumstances, there are a lot of problems we cannot resolve immediately, but we will continue to make improvements to the game so better levels of expectations. So, yeah, this is really important. I spent a long time on just this part, but honestly, it's very important, and it's very important to what Dragalia is and what it can become. And I'm glad they're taking the time to really look at it and be like, okay, we should really address the fact that we haven't been doing so well on difficulty. It's been an obvious complaint that's been going around. It's funny because the complaint was, this game's too hard. Because the High Dragons were very hard, and we didn't have revives back then. You died once, that's it. You lost. So like there was Reddit threads, the game's too hard, we can't do anything, game's too hard. Now, the complaint is from the people at the top, which again, this is like less than 5%. That's why I get why they're not so worried about it. And as someone who's at the top, it doesn't bother me as much because it's less than 5%. They're trying to do something to help other players to keep people playing, which is what you need to do. I wish Pokemon Masters would take a cue from this, but nah. It's been 1.5 years since the release of the game. There's a lot we want to work on as we start moving towards second anniversary. Working on a few things besides these the updates I mentioned, so I'll be sure to share more about that in notifications or a future edition of this month in Dragalia Lost. And then we got some free stuff, and yeah. But yeah, it's crazy to think about that. Like literally, the top of the line end game players in Dragalia is less than 5% easily. Like, I guess people, when you're in it, it doesn't feel like that, but yeah, it's less than 5% who are doing this content. Now, the Geodo, no. Geodos are way more open, which I think is fine. But the High Dragons, yeah, that's less than 5%. That's what we're talking about. Like, my brain goes to, like, okay, when these things came out, who actually killed these? Who farmed up weapons to kill the next one? And who did all of them when they were popping up? The Surpasser of Elements, yeah. So who actually got Surpasser of Elements the first week it was out? Right? That's endgame. Now, some people miss that for reasons because the dragons ended up being a mess anyway. But like, yeah, it's less than 5%. Even now, I think dragons are not that well cleared. So currently for Dragalia, it's going in a way where it's really addressing the fact that they need to do something to help the gap. A big thing that's creating that gap though is the Halidom. Now, stuff like Champions Road is nice to speed up, get people caught up faster, but like when Champions Road is gone, the Halidom goes back to being a mess for a new player to actually catch up. So I really hope they look at the Halidom and reduce some of it, because yeah, every time they add anything to the game, every new facility events, every time they upgrade the dojos or upgrade the altars or put in any new building, all these Geodo buildings, although those are kind of easy, but all the Geodo buildings, it's more power creep to the 5% who actually can farm all this stuff because they're strong enough. So it's just like, and also have plenty of hustle hammers because they've already played the game long enough to get their Halidom. Like my Halidom is maxed in everything besides just the Fafnirs. The Fafnirs from the High Dragons. That's it. Everything else on my Halidom is max. Because, like, I wasn't in the 5% back then. Like, I killed High Dragons once and didn't do it. But when Masters came around, I was like, okay, I want to get all into this, farm all of them, and actually make weapons and do all that stuff. Because they had weapons. That was a big thing for me. Like, I like weapons. So when they had weapons, like, okay, we're doing this. But yeah, that's it for the month of April. You know, nothing new, as he said. Basically, they had a digest, so it's just going to digest stuff. But it gives us more time to really talk about some things, really break it down. The game difficulty is the biggest thing. Because this is something that I'm glad there's transparency here, because these are complaints I've heard on both sides. I've seen threads on Reddit of people being like, the game's too hard, I can't do anything. I understand talking to new people is like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? And like explain to them how they can go about getting stronger and progressing through the game. But also I've seen players who are at the end, it's like, well, game's dead. You know, memes, game's dead. Because like, for them, there's nothing to do. They want to log in, they want to fight a boss who's really hard, who challenges them. Like the Dragon event, the High Dragons were, literally they were a community event. Every time they came off, You just see people on streams just watching. Everyone's figuring out what they're supposed to do. Everyone's doing attempts at stuff. It was really cool. Now, unfortunately, I didn't really get to do that because my team kind of imploded. But, you know, it's like, that's such a cool thing in these kind of games. So I want to see more of that, but I think them doing what they're doing with the Agitos and addressing this gap is very smart. And I think it's very healthy for the game in the long run. And I'm sure they'll come up with something. Alright, but that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope to catch you guys next time.